Kate Ryder, Chief Executive Officer of Maven. Welcome to Juicing with Gary.
Thanks, I'm so excited to be here.
Well, we're delighted to have you here today. It's an honor. So today, we're going to create a very special juice just for you. So I've come up with the recipe around these beautiful vegetables and fruits, and it's called Tiny Bubbles. So we're gonna start with the lovely lemon. All right, I wanna tell you a little something about the lemon.
Okay.
The Egyptians actually created the first lemonade. They believed that what was inside of it helped with the poisons. So now we're gonna juice. All right, this is the hard part. All right, it's gonna get a little noisy, so we may have to talk a little bit louder. I'm gonna hand you these.
Okay.
You're gonna take that lid off, and you're just gonna start putting them down and in. And you can use that.
I'm a big juicer.
There you go. Put them in there. That's it. Good, good, good. These juicers are magnificent. You should have one at home for your son.
Yeah.
Right? You should buy one.
Yeah,
Maybe
you
we'll
can get
leave you one.
vegetables inside of it.
Okay, that's good. All right, you did an excellent job. Oh my God, this is, this is going to be an amazing juice.
Tiny bubbles.
Oh, tiny bubbles. Let's go talk about Maven. Cheers. Kate, now I want to get into the conversation about Maven. And the first thing I'd like to ask is, where did she come from? Where did this beautiful, emerging, technology-based health company come from in your head?
Yeah, so I was working in London about 4 years ago. I was working at a venture capital firm covering digital health, and it was right around the time that a lot of my friends started having kids. And so there was this crazy juxtaposition where I was hearing a lot of stories from my friends about things like infertility and miscarriage and postpartum depression, but all the solutions that I was seeing working at this firm, nothing was really built for the female patient and nothing was solving any of these issues. And so, and meanwhile, so many of the customers of the companies that I was looking at were female, because in healthcare, women control 80% of decision making and they're the dominant customer. So I thought, wow, this is just an incredible opportunity to build something that I really feel passionate about, to really help women elevate the voice of the female patient in healthcare and have a huge business opportunity while doing it.
Exciting to me as I've started to explore Maven and started to play with it a little bit and wanted to actually trial some of the aspects of it, because you can on the website, but then I thought it might stop me because I'm a male, which is fine.
No, we have male customers.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, of course.
Well, tell me about Maven. Tell me, what does she do? How does it operate? And give me some of the detail.
So basically, the backbone of Maven is we have the largest women's and family health provider network in the country on a telehealth platform. So really our model of care is to take every type of provider that a woman might see, from the ages of about 18 to 45, call it, and have them work together and coordinate that care. And so we have both a direct-to-consumer offering, so that's what our guys use, and you can book a quick appointment, you can get a prescription for birth control, you can have a mental health or coaching appointment, you can talk to a nutritionist. So that's all about access, and particularly specialized access for women's unique needs. And on the corporate side, that's really where we've invested a lot of our time over the last few years. So we've taken that network and we've leveraged it into clinical programs all around the family benefits landscape. Basically, however you want to start a family, whether it's adoption, surrogacy, IVF, whether you just get pregnant naturally, whether you're a dad and you need extra support, you enroll in one of our tracks, and then it takes you all the way through back to work. One of the big stats that's pretty dismal is that 43% of new moms leave the workforce after having a baby in the first 52 weeks for a lot of different reasons, but one of the big reasons is lack of support in that postpartum and return to work experience. And so we've been able to really drive meaningful change on that front as well, and we're just getting started.
So what are you seeing? What are the reactions from employers and what are the reactions from people?
I think it was funny. I had a board meeting last week and the board was like, so give me all the negative stuff people are saying in your product and these programs. And what we found is, of course there's so much I want to do, but no one's had this kind of access before or this support, and people are just so grateful because right after you have a baby, you don't have a doctor's appointment for 6 weeks. And so to have at your fingertips a lactation consultant, a women's health physical therapist, a maternal mental health provider who can help you through all of these different experiences, who are all working in a team together, as well as, all of our programs have a care coordinator in them. So they kind of are the linchpin helping you navigate in-person care, helping you navigate Maven, and so really just being that concierge for you when you need something. And so that's what, I think that's what we see, is that by the time someone goes back to work, they have, we've caught some things early, so that they can return productive and healthy and happy. And to your point, we are very much focused both on economic and health outcomes, because that's what you need to do when you work in healthcare.
Yeah, understandably so. I love something you said, and I think I'll just you said concierge, I'll term it into advocacy, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel personally that a big missing link in our system is true advocates. So talk about that a little bit. How does that work for you? Do I get assigned one? Do I pick one?
Yeah, so some of them are sitting right back there. I think in our fertility programs, it's really, that's where we're really seeing a huge amount of impact, because we have both egg freezing and IVF, and there's just so little information out there on both of these areas of women's health. And so our care coordinators, you enter one of those programs, and they're typically spending between 30 and 45 minutes just talking to somebody about what their benefits are. It's not just health, it's how much is this gonna cost me? How much does my company cover? What are the drug prices involved in this? I've heard that, you get surprise bills all the time at that area, and then is it gonna hurt? And what is a quality clinic, and how do, there's so much uncertainty, and then the information on the internet's not great. And so that's really where, you see in an area that's relatively new from a reimbursement standpoint, as well as even a kind of a patient experience standpoint. Egg freezing was, new as of the last 5 years. You really do need these advocates to help you through the system.
I'm sitting here honestly reflecting on what you're saying and thinking about my 3 adult daughters and my wife, and so I'm first of all grateful that you're doing something like this, and so courageous. But Kate, you're young, you were in London, this was a few years ago. How does it happen? I mean, to have an idea is one thing, but then you have to execute on the idea. Give me some detail. How was she birthed?
Yeah, well, so my dad's an entrepreneur, and when I started the job in the venture capital firm, I actually was there to figure out what company to start. And so I think it was, I was trying on all these different ideas at the time, and when you have the right idea, it just kind of grabs you. And so in this case, I just started talking to female providers, female patients, about why there weren't products built for the female patient. And what I just started hearing was, why are we left out of all of this digital health innovation? Because it was kind of like the first wave. This was 2013. And so, I think once something grabs you and you have a little bit of an entrepreneurial spirit anyway, and you're a little bit of a workaholic, let's be honest, that was the moment where I realized, wow, this feels better than even journalism, which is what I was doing at the time. But I need a lot more experience before I go and start something else.
Yeah. So by trade, you were a journalist. You're writing about tech. You're living in Singapore. If I recall, you wrote for The New Yorker, The Economist.
I never thought in a million years that I would start a healthcare company. And then when I started covering digital health at this venture capital firm, I just started talking to my uncles who are doctors, my aunts who are doctors. And I think one of the things a great piece of advice that I got early on is, whatever you do, you're going to be doing it for a really long time, so you better love it. And I found healthcare endlessly fascinating, complicated, dysfunctional, but particularly for women, just not in our favor. And so I thought, here it is.
There's a lot of people that are going to look at this, and maybe it's this video, or it's you, and it's the next interview, or it's the next speech that you give, and they want to be there. They have a vision, they have a passion, they have a dream, and you were able to do it. How do we encourage them? What advice do you give that whether it's a male or a female entrepreneur. I mean, I want to go back and be young. I want to do what you're doing. You know, what advice would you give me?
So my advice for all entrepreneurs is just persistence and loving what you do and loving the people you do it with. So that's number one. But specifically for healthcare entrepreneurs, you have to sprinkle in a little bit of patience, which is really hard for an entrepreneur, as well as surrounding yourself with genuine experts across healthcare. We have about 10 advisors in healthcare. And so that's just so important because so many people who work in healthcare can't even read their own hospital bills. So to be a business person inside of it requires a certain skill set.
What about the company? What's the vision? Where are we going with her?
Our whole mission is to elevate the female voice in healthcare and to make the healthcare system take us all more seriously through all of these different programs. And I think what we have on our side and what we will have on our side, particularly in 5 years, is all of the data showing that this is how you engage patients, this is how you drive outcomes. You can, as we move from fee-for-service to value-based care, hopefully, and the patient, there is more consumer choice in healthcare. That's all of a sudden when things can start to change. And so, I'm happy we started 3 years ago because obviously, as I'm sure you know, healthcare takes a little bit of time, but we're really well positioned, I think, to be that platform.
Well, Kate, our time is coming to a close. I just want to thank you so very much for all you're doing, for taking this time, for sharing your message, which I know will inspire many, many people. So with that said, I'd like to thank you once again for Juicing with Gary.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Cheers.